Yeah, just looking over your palm card, and it says she will represent all of Maine and will continue her pursuit of economic democracy. What's your definition of economic democracy?
It's pretty simple. I think people need to have a say in their economic lives. We have some tax policies in the state that people are frustrated about, that they have no input into, that are imposed on them. We have local communities who are frustrated because they have, particularly rural communities, they don't have services in their communities, they have to spend a lot of money on transportation to go and shop and things like that. I think communities need to be empowered to determine what they want their community to be, and to be able to have the support to sort of control their small economic sphere in their own communities. Yes?
I'm from Central Roostick, and there's one big problem that I've been seeing over the course of many, many years that has affected the state, and that is the idea of the two Maines concept. Do you believe in the idea of the two Maines, and if so, how do you propose bringing them back together so that we can work more productively and not feel as though we are forgotten?
Yeah, I'm not going to say, I agree the two Maine concept exists. I want to be careful, I don't want to imply I agree with that there should be two Maines or somehow a disconnect. I work in rural Maine. I mean, all of my clients, for the most part, are in Washington County, Piscataquis, Penobscot, and Hancock County. And so I see on a daily basis the problems and the suffering of these communities. I saw firsthand when I was fighting the school consolidation battle, for example, how it was impacting these communities, and no one in Portland and thereabouts cared one iota about this. I spoke down there to editorial boards, I spoke to political groups, to get them involved in this, and there was a total, they had no idea, this was just about school districts, of course, they had no idea how rural communities sort of even operated. They had no idea about distance, about, okay, we're going to have a school district, if they're forced to consolidate, that's bigger than the state of Rhode Island. And here's where kids are going to have to travel. I think that we need to stop thinking that way. I mean, we also need to stop thinking that way. I frequently way, but and I think people need to, businesses need to see that if they decide to locate in rural Maine, that they have an educated workforce there. I didn't mention higher education, but I am a visiting professor. I teach once a year a seminar. And I think we need to figure out a way where, businesses look at a lot of factors when they're thinking about where to locate. And one of those is an educated and available and willing to work workforce. And I think once we have more businesses interested in relocating or locating initially into the other Maine, there'll be less of a disconnect between us and what is essentially the job centers of the state, which are southern Maine. So I think it's only when we get more businesses into the rural parts of the state will we begin to sort of heal that fissure between the two parts of the state. Yes? Yes.
It says here on your pamphlet, you make reference to guaranteeing all Mainers access to quality higher education. What would you do specifically to, I guess, revamp the higher education program in Maine?
I would, I've thought a lot about this, and on one hand, I like that we have so many campuses outside of the central areas of the state, you know, outside the cities and stuff. But it is a drain, it's a big drain on the budget, I know, the UMaine budget. And I think we need to look at possibly this with the end goal, making more money available for scholarships for students and support for students to come. I think we need to look at some consolidation of campuses and more emphasis on online learning and interactive technology learning. So we make it available to everyone, even though there may not be a campus in your town or your, you know, county or narrow, you know, smaller region, that the education is available to everyone. And I think we need to look at not only the academic higher education, but also education that supports people in the state who want to go into the traditional Maine industries like boat building and fishing, and probably, particularly in fishing, if they come from fishing families, they sort of know the fishing part of fishing, but we need to, because I've seen young people fail as business owners, not as fishermen, but as business owners. So if someone chooses not to go on for a 4-year degree, I think we still need to make education available to them so they can learn how to successfully run their businesses. Yes?
If I could read into what you were saying about consolidating colleges, are you implying that you would close campuses? And then if so, I mean, what do you plan on doing with students? How do you get students from those colleges into somewhere else?
I think the first thing we have to do is look at do an inventory of the campuses, the budgets, and everything that goes into having multiple state university campuses. And again, a campus might turn into just a setting for interactive technology and online learning, something of that nature. I also think while some of the campuses are focused on specific areas, we should look at duplicative programs at multiple campuses, and also duplicative administration, which probably we should start with the duplications in administration in the state system. Yes.
There have been multiple attempts to consolidate the natural resource agencies and state government. What would be your direction there?
Yeah, the natural resource agencies. I would be in favor of functional consolidation. By that I mean the natural resource agencies, some of them are land use agencies, some of them are preservation and conservation agencies, some are law enforcement, like the wardens, some are licensing. A number of them do more than one of those functions. What I would like to see is, I don't want to see LERC combined with marine resources or something like that. I would like to see the consolidation be focused on the functions. So I would not be adverse to having the land use planning function of DEP combined with the land use function of LERC. There are other issues involved there. Or to have the research and preservation function of inland fisheries, the research function of inland fisheries combined with the research function of, one of the other agencies might be performing. I think that would give us the opportunity to eliminate the duplicative functions, but still preserve the mission of the various agencies, whether it's land use planning, preservation and conservation, law enforcement, or licensing.
Other questions? None? Lynn, you want to close out? Anything you want to say?
No, just thank you for having me. I enjoyed it, and thank you. This was great.
What we'll do is, yeah, thank you.